My name's Austin Blackmon. I'm the Chief of Environment, Energy, and Open Space for the City of Boston. That's a long way of saying that I'm responsible for Parks and Recreation, our permitting body, and also our Environment Department, where we manage our energy policy. For those of you who aren't familiar with the City of Boston, in 2014, we did something that we haven't done in 20 years, and that's elect a new mayor, Martin J. Walsh, my boss. And Mayor Walsh has committed to bringing a new era of innovation to the City of Boston. Some of you may have heard about initiatives like City Score. This is something that we use, our performance management system, that on a daily basis tells us how well we're doing against our goals. We also have a partnership with an organization called Waze. If anybody's used Waze, it's kind of like Google Maps, but except it uses data generated from users to help people avoid traffic and congestion. And we partner with this organization to use that data in an innovative way to help us target where we should retime lights and signals, where we have opportunities to have small opportunities to intervene to eliminate double parking as well as other problems like blocking the box. But it's really important for us to use this data because as it relates to city operations, if the City of Boston were a private sector company, it would be a $2.9 billion company. It would be a Fortune 1000 company, and we would use data and analytics on a daily basis to make sure that we remain competitive. But it's really important that we apply that not just only to our city operations, but to everything that we do. And that includes what we do on energy and our buildings policies as well. So I want to take a little bit of time today and tell you about two major initiatives that we're embarking upon. In the City of Boston, about 3% of our emissions come from city operations. So it's really important that we partner with our partners in the business and also our residents as well. So we've got these two initiatives. One of them is called the Building Energy Reporting and Disclosure Ordinance. How's that for a government acronym for you? Sometimes affectionately known as BERDO. And so what does BERDO do? It takes information from the largest buildings and institutions in the City of Boston. These institutions represent 50% of the emissions that are emitted from our city. When we take that energy use from these large buildings and institutions, they report their energy use and energy use intensity to the city. We analyze it and then disclose it publicly. About 4% of the City of Boston's buildings have to report for this ordinance by 2017, but that's going to make up over 40% of the square footage that's in our city. So it's a very, very robust data set, but we've really limited the number of people who are required to report and the amount of time that it will take for them to comply with the ordinance. So how does this drive change? How is this going to help us accomplish our goals? The City of Boston, we have a goal of reducing emissions by 25% by 2020, 80% by 2050. Since buildings are such a huge part of that, we really have to focus on that sector. But by reporting this information, just like this activity tracker lets me know how I stack up on my health outcomes with my friends, the reporting ordinance and the energy information allows our businesses and our residents know how they stack up against each other. But more importantly, it also gives us enough data that we can go and evaluate and understand if we look at similar buildings with similar uses, where are the outliers? Whose energy use intensity is extraordinarily high? And so the City of Boston does that, and then we work with our utility partners as well as the state to identify projects that will have a financial return and incentives that can help our residents and businesses save money, and at the same time help the city accomplish its energy efficiency goals. Now, of course, there were detractors of this approach. People thought that it was going to take way too much time to comply, that it was going to be super invasive. And we took that to heart. And so we worked with our utilities who built us a phenomenal system to automate the reporting process as much as possible. We held webinars as well as meetings to train these reporters on how to do it in the most effective way possible. And we also contacted each and every one of them to let them know about the support that was available. And as a result, we've had great success. A 90% compliance rate as of last year without issuing a single fine. Furthermore, by having this very, very targeted data, instead of trying to regulate, inspect, or force over 100,000 buildings in the city of Boston to become more energy efficient. We really narrowed it down to about 20 or 30 really, really big opportunities. And so for even a very, very, very small staff, that's a reasonable number to actually identify and try and target. So we've had great success on the mitigation standpoint, but we're also starting to embark on the adaptation standpoint as well through an initiative called Climate Ready Boston. So who here is familiar with the movie or book Moneyball? Okay, almost everybody. For those of you who don't know, Moneyball chronicles the story of the Oakland A's and how they leverage data and advanced analytics to really change how baseball worked. They use these data and analytics to target the wisest investments in players that they could to make their team successful. Climate Ready Boston is our Moneyball for climate preparedness. Right now, as we speak, our team is looking parcel by parcel, building by building, neighborhood by neighborhood, to identify the financial impacts of sea level rise using the best science and the best predictions that we have. This is also going to include economic productivity losses if critical infrastructure like our transportation system or our power grid fail. And so that will also then help us understand how much should we be willing to spend to protect our city? What are the policies that we should be enacting? How should we change our zoning for our buildings to look at the lifetime of the building and their use to be appropriately climate prepared? How can we purchase or create open space on waterfront locations to protect our city from flooding? So as I mentioned, this initiative is very much in its early phases, but it'll have a huge impact on how we leverage our built infrastructure and our buildings. And so hopefully next time this year, I'll be able to give you more details on how we've implemented that and some of the other innovative things that we're doing in the city of Boston. Thanks for your time.